like I was saying, there are events surrounding Lord Mahavishnu's avatar in every yuga. So in the Treta Yuga, when Lord Rama's birth was due, right? At that time, the Asura forces, which was coordinated by Shukracharya, tried to advance his birth, because the main evil was Ravana and Lanka. But he tried to create certain events in the mainland of Bharata in order to ensure that he takes birth earlier itself. Now this is what is happening even in today's Kali Yuga. If you see that the Kalki Avatara is due at a certain time. But if you see, there are a lot of events happening today, be it geographical calamities that are happening, or you can see there is a lot of sporadic violence that is happening in the world. All of this is trying to plot a scheme to trap Lord Mahavishnu's Kalki Avatara to come to earth and take the birth in Bhuloka even before it is due. So this gives us a very good insight. This chapter, this story gives us a very good insight as to how this happened during Lord Rama's birth. So without further ado, let's begin the story. To those who are not acquainted with what we are doing, this is the story that we are talking about from Immortal Talks, where after the passing away of Ramavatara, Lord Hanuman goes to Sri Lanka and stays there. And while he is there, he stays with a tribe called the Mathang tribe. And he imparts this Brahma Vidya to the Mathang tribe. There they ask him, saying, Lord Hanuman, you have given us the Vidya, what about our next generations? So he promises them that he will come every 41 years and he will stay with them and give them the Brahma Vidya required. So what is this Brahma Vidya? The Brahma Vidya is the one which, when somebody practices, is eligible or worthy to call himself a Brahman. A Brahman is one, not somebody who is right now by the Varna system, but somebody who practices the Brahma Vidya. And this Brahma Vidya is what Lord Hanuman has brought to us now, and we are very grateful that after tens of thousands of years, it has come again. The reasons are unknown. It could be that we are at the last leg of this earth. Now, if they say with every chapter, if you listen to it carefully and you imbibe it, it is a ladder to moksha. So let us hope that in this chapter we get that we become closer to moksha. After a short break of the 5th session of the Charan Puja, the Yajman of this session was a Mathang man called Kshanak. So, like Lord Hanuman says, we have to express our gratitude to every Mathang person because of whom they are participating in this dialogue and enabling us to get this Brahma Vidya. So, let us pay our gratitude to Yajman Kshanak. Before he could be eligible enough to offer his arpanam at the holy feet of Lord Hanuman, his soul had to be purified. So, listening to these stories purifies our soul. Lord Hanuman bathed his soul with the following words of wisdom. Lord Hanuman said, O Mathangs, as I told you, Asuras do not have their own bodies. They attempt to enter in any body mind that they can, which is useful to fulfill their evil desires. They are cursed souls which are responsible for the downfall of humanity from Satyuga to Kali Yuga. In Satyuga, they were trapped in Asurloka, which is located in an invisible layer above the surface of earth. They started ejecting themselves from Asurloka one by one and came down to Manavloka. This started happening in the Treta Yuga, and their numbers in Manavloka have been growing ever since. Asuras are an unorganized force by themselves. They would cancel the powers of each other and have net zero evil effect on this world. But their master, Shukracharya, who is the enemy of Lord Vishnu, organizes the power of the Asuras to destroy this world. If need be, he himself comes to Manavloka as an Asura, as an avatar, and fights the force of the Asuras. At one point of time in Treta Yuga, Shukracharya's Asuras managed to capture an entire kingdom called Lanka. That means that the body mind of all the citizens of Lanka were now driven by asuras. The united force of asuras was growing stronger and stronger by the day. Their strength was reaching to a point that only Lord Vishnu could dismantle them. He had to take the avatara of Lord Rama, and he had to do it fast. Oh Mathams, as I earlier told you, to bring, okay, just a step back here. What are asuras? We have already learnt about this. Asuras are those invisible beings who are there everywhere in this earth. They are there on this earth. Whenever somebody wants to perform an evil act or even an evil emotion, that is experienced by the asuras. Those who have been listening to the stories are well aware of this phenomenon, where there are two forces, suras and asuras. Whenever we feel strong positive emotions, which means that we leave this temple, we are feeling very divine about ourselves, we are closer to God. Who is feeling divine? Who is feeling blissful? Not us. We have been hijacked by a sura, because they love to feel these positive emotions. So we are hijacked by them and we feel positive emotions. But when we feel negative emotions, we need to ask ourselves, who is feeling these negative emotions? You could feel negative emotions of distress, of agony, of anger, of greed, of lust, and the worst of all is guilt. There is the most powerful asura in this yuga is an asura called Kapatasura. Kapatasura feeds on guilt, which means that whenever we feel guilt, what do? We overcompromise. And whenever we overcompromise, we always get into these actions which promote more evil on earth. And that's why please be aware, whenever we are feeling negative emotions, especially strong negative emotions of guilt, always come into awareness and ask yourself one question, who is feeling it? Whenever we become aware of our emotions, the suras and asuras can no longer stay inside our bodies, they immediately come out. That's why the rishis and the munis continuously told us about self-awareness as the biggest force that is there with us today to fight these things. So what happens, we saw that movie also. There is a neural pathway that gets triggered. Whenever there is a stimulant, there is a neural pathway of emotions. We continuously keep reinforcing these emotions. Like for example, our child says something, our spouse says something, our mother-in-law, father-in-law, our father and mother, our boss, all these are stimulants. They give us a dialogue and immediately that triggers an auto-reaction. Whenever there is an auto-reaction, this neural stimulus, there is something called, these neurons get these chemical reactions in the body which strengthens the neural pathway and it becomes an auto-reaction, which means that we do not think, there is an immediate emotion. The more we become aware, these strengthened neural pathways become slimmer and finally break. When we break, we do not do an auto-reaction, we come into awareness. So please ask yourself, whenever you're feeling a strong positive emotion or a strong negative emotion, who is feeling it? That awareness itself is enough to dismantle it. Come back to the story. Oh Mathams, as I told you earlier, to bring a life into existence, two things are required. What is it? Fluid of space over threads of time. Lord Indra, who is the god of space, manifests through the body of the father and provides a stream of fluid of space. Lord Kaladeva, who is the god of time, manifests through the body of the mother and provides the threads of time. So Lord Hanuman demonstrated the other time where he drew out the strings of time. How many strings of time are required to bring a life into existence? 7 strings. The more you become aware, you add one more string. A yogi has 14 strings. When you get 14 strings, you have attained moksha. So the more you practice awareness, the more you keep adding a string. So how do you know that you are progressing in your spiritual life? The biggest indicator that you are progressing in your spiritual life is when you are able to see a stimulation in your environment and you are not doing an auto-reaction to it. Your boss says something, your father says something, there is an immediate auto-reaction. The minute you come into awareness, and break that, then you are saying that yes, I am progressing on the spiritual path. When an ordinary child takes birth, the karma desire requirement is ordinary, and therefore Lord Indra and Lord Kala don't have to be fully present to provide the required fluid of space and threads of time. In fact, only a very small fraction of them is enough to be present at the time of conceiving. But for birth of Lord Rama, they were required to be present fully so that they can conceive a life which can change the whole world. If Lord Indra had to manifest himself fully in the body of a man, that man had to be as powerful as him. If Lord Kala had to manifest himself fully in the body of a woman, that woman had to be as skilled as him. One day, Lord Vishnu summoned them to Vishnu Loka. He said to them, O Indra, O Kala, time is near for me to descend to Manav Loka. O Indra, tell me the name of a man who is qualified enough to play the role of my father there. O Kala, tell me the name of a woman who can hold me in her womb for 9 months. Lord Indra replied, Prabhu, there is this man called Dashratha. He is the king of Kosala. He has unthinkable control over his senses, due to which he has become so powerful that he can dethrone me anytime he wants. Lord Indra is a designation. It's not Lord himself, which means that if I become a yogi, where I have complete power of the fluid of space, I can go to Lord Mahavishnu and challenge the designation of Lord Indra. So despite being so powerful, he has never challenged my authority. He has used his powers only for the welfare of his kingdom and humanity. He is the man whose body is powerful enough to handle my full manifestation. Therefore, he is well qualified to play the role of your father in Manav Loka. Kaladeva replied, Prabhu, there is this woman called Kaushalya. She is the wife of King Dashratha of Koshala. How she experiences the world around her is unthinkable for humans. She can stop time if she so desires. Her control over time is so much that she can replace me at any time as Kaladeva. But she has never challenged my authority. She has used her powers only for the welfare of her kingdom and humanity. She is the woman whose body is strong enough to handle my full manifestation. Therefore, she is well qualified to play the role of your mother in Manav Loka. So remember that the biggest challenge for Lord Mahavishnu to take the birth in Kali Yuga for Lord Kalki is to find a man and a woman who are not influenced by the power of asuras and suras, which means that they are so yogically highly attained that no amount of whatever is happening around them can actually arouse any feelings of strong emotions or feelings of negativity or positivity. You can, so she says, O Mathams, now I will tell you what made King Dashratha as powerful as Indra and what made Queen Kaushalya as powerful as Kaladeva. Very few people become skilled enough to know their destiny ahead of time. King Dashratha and Queen Kaushalya were among those few. When you know your destiny ahead of time, you can challenge the principles which drive this universe. You can make Indra fall at your feet and obey you. You can make Kaladeva your slave. All the Mathams were engrossed so deeply in the story of Lord Ram's birth, it took them a while to come back to senses that Lord Hanuman had stopped telling the story and had a mysterious silence that had replaced his words. He stared at the faces of Mathans one by one. First Baba and Mata Mathan, then the Brahmanas, then the attendees, then the Bothar, and finally his eyes stopped at Yajman Kshanak. He said to Kshanak, O Yajman, you haven't eaten anything since morning and you are sitting close to the holy fire. You are going to faint. Kshanak shifted his position farther away from the holy fire. Lord Hanuman smiled and said, You cannot run away from your destiny, Kshanak. I am telling you your destiny ahead of time. You are going to faint and then you are going to drink water. If you can successfully defy your destiny, Lord Indra will become eternally indebted to you. Defy it if you can. Kshanak fainted after a few moments. Baba and Mata Mathan quickly attended to him. They sprinkled cold water on his face and brought him to consciousness. Then they offered him water to drink. Kshanak was feeling very dizzy and thirsty. He immediately put the cup of water on his lips. When he was about to take a sip of water, he remembered Lord Hanuman's words, which said, "Defy it if you can." He threw away the cup of water. His throat was on fire. He screamed, "Water, water, give me." Urva immediately brought another cup of water. When he was about to take a sip from that cup, Lord Hanuman's words came to him and gave him the power, and he threw away that cup of water. He wanted to scream, but his throat had given up. He wanted to cry, but his eyes were dry. Another cup of water was brought to him, but he showed tremendous willpower and threw it away. He crawled a little to reach a place where sand was wet and buried his face in the sand. All the Mathans were feeling the pain he was going through, but Lord Hanuman was sitting in his asana indifferently. Kshanak resisted his thirst until it died. The show of willpower in a Mathan made Baba Mathan proud and brought a smile to Lord Hanuman's face. Lord Hanuman said, "Oh Kshanak, you were destined to drink water, but you successfully denied your destiny. By doing this, you have now made Lord Indra indebted to you. I will tell you how. Everything we consume through our senses is basically fluid of space. Whether it is the food we eat, natural sceneries we are enjoying, beautiful sounds we are enjoying listening to, and so on. It is all owned by Lord Vishnu, and the responsibility to distribute this fluid fairly to everyone is that of Lord Indra. He distributes it to you as per your destiny. When you refused water, which you were destined to drink, Lord Indra actually failed in performing his duty as the fair distributor. Now he has to compensate you for this. Refusing to drink water is a very small task. If you keep defying your destiny like this and manage to refuse a lot of things coming your way, you can put a question mark on Lord Indra's ability to perform the fair distribution of things. To compensate you for everything you refused, he would appear before you and plead you to ask him something as compensation. If you refuse that compensation also offered by Lord Indra, his job will be in danger. Lord Vishnu would take a strong note of it and search for a better person for the job of Indra. If you are capable enough to become Indra himself, you can claim it. So that's why the Setu's note, it says, this is the reason why fasting helps in desire fulfillment. Now you know why there are so many upavasas held in there are many such abhishekas performed on holy days. They say performed upavasa. Why? Because you are defying your destiny of what is coming to you in terms of food and water that has to be provided to you. So what are you doing? You are actually taking that karmic, in your karmic account, you are adding something in your karmic account. By doing this, you are getting your desires. But let me also tell you something which we got to know in these chapters. Please, whenever you perform this upavasa, do not go and ask for any normal desires from God. There are many desires lying pending with Lord Indra from our past lives. So whenever we perform upavasas, or whenever we do anything like an abhisheka or like a homa, okay, keep your desires very basic or very broad-based, or even better, do not ask for anything from the Lord. The best thing that we can ask is bhakti. So the only thing we want is bhakti. So if you have to ask Lord anything sincerely, then all we have to ask is bhakti. That's it. So this is the reason why fasting helps in desire fulfillment. When you refuse the food which is in your destiny, Indradeva becomes indebted to you, and then he has to award you some compensation. He gives you what you desire at the time of breaking the fast. You are definitely not capable enough to become Indra, but Dasharatha was. But he never challenged the authority of Lord Indra. Yes, he used to defy his destiny very often. But when Lord Indra would plead him to accept compensation, he would settle for it. How did he settle for it? It was a very common affair in the kingdom of Kaushala. King Dasharatha would defy his destiny, and Lord Indra would appear before him and say, "O King of Raghu clan, you have indebted me by not accepting what was destined for you. Therefore, I must compensate you. I beg of you, please ask something as compensation." And then Dasharatha would reply, "O the mighty Indra, if you please compensate me by providing everything in abundance to the people of my kingdom. Let there be no scarcity of anything in my kingdom." As a result, the kingdom of Kaushala was very prosperous. O Mathams, I will give you one example and you will understand what kind of a man King Dasharatha was. When Lord Rama was banished to the forest for 14 years, King Dasharatha started defying his destiny. He was destined to have proper food, but he refused to eat food. He was destined to rule the kingdom until Lord Rama was to take over, but he refused to do so. He was destined to exhibit the strength of his mind by accepting the truth of separation from Lord Rama, but he refused to do so and broke down. And ultimately there was still life left in his destiny, but he gave up his life. So imagine people say, why did King Dasharatha cry? He was an enlightened man. He should not have cried, right? So his destiny was of not crying. He knew about it very well, but he defied his destiny and exhibited all those strong emotions. When he gave up his body, Lord Indra spoke to his soul. "O the king of Raghu clan, you have indebted me deeply by refusing to accept what was destined for you. I plead before you, please accept a compensation for me." This time, King Dasharatha asked, "O the mighty Indra, my son has gone to the forest to live for 14 years. Life in the forest is extremely difficult. Sometimes one has to walk miles to get even the sight of water. Sometimes one doesn't even get dry leaves to eat. O Indra, you are responsible for scarcity as well as abundance in this world. I ask you that my sons and daughter-in-law who have gone to the forest for 14 years shall never face the scarcity of anything." As a result, Lord Ram never had to use any supernatural power in the jungle to get things of day-to-day use. He never faced the scarcity of anything while he lived in the forest as an ordinary human being. O Mathams, such was the greatness of King Dasharatha. That is why King Vishnu chose him as the father to descend in Manavloka in Treta Yuga. Queen Kaushalya was no less either. If King Dasharatha's abilities that matched that of Lord Indra, Queen Kaushalya's abilities matched that of Lord Kala, the god of time. Lord Hanuman told, at this point a fruit popped out of the basket kept at the altar and landed right in the hands of Lord Hanuman. Young Mathans giggled. "O Mathans, I have an apple in my hand. I want any of you to make this apple disappear from my hand. Here is the condition. You are not allowed to do anything to this apple." Lord Hanuman threw the challenge at the Mathans. A young Mathan called Urva, let us express our gratitude to Urva. A young Mathan called Urva stood up to face the challenge. He wrote to Lord Hanuman and said, Prabhu, if I close my eyes and stop thinking about this apple will stop to exist at least for me. Good, Lord Hanuman said, but can you make it disappear without closing your eyes? You have to look at the apple and make it disappear for you. How do you do that? Now, those who have been listening to this story will know there is something called threads of time, strings of time. Whenever our body or this soul enters the strings of time is like a tunnel where the scenes are passing by. Okay, this is the illusion of time. What is the illusion of time? That we are moving forward in time, whereas everything in this universe is still. There is nothing moving. So what happens is the tunnel of experience or the strings of time are moving. We are right here, giving the illusion that time is moving. So when we are at this place, we are experiencing all the scenery. What is the scenery of this temple? Lord Hanuman's photo behind me. All of this is an experience. It is all captured in this tunnel. Okay, so when we say that we are a point of, our soul is just a speck of light. When we realize this tunnel disappears. So it will come to you now again how it happens. Oh Lord, there is a certain knowledge in my mind. Urva thought for a moment and replied, Oh Lord, there is a certain knowledge in my mind, that knowledge that identifies this thing as an apple. If I can remove that knowledge from my mind, I won't see this as an apple. I will see this as a random object. Lord Hanuman completed Urva's sentence and said, Good, you have made the apple disappear for you. But the object still remains. You will see it as a random object. Can you make it disappear completely? Yes, Prabhu, Urva replied. There is a certain knowledge in my mind which differentiates between an object and a non-object, solid and gas, this color and that color, and so on. If I can remove that knowledge from my mind, I won't be able to make out any difference between air and solid object called apple. This means that this object will disappear for me. Great! Lord Hanuman complimented Urva and said, Oh Mathangs, look at what is happening here. Urva's destiny is to see the apple in my hand right now. Lord Indra has done his job by producing this apple before Urva's eyes. Urva's eyes are open, but still he cannot see the apple. He is defying his destiny. Lord Indra cannot be held accountable for this because he has done his job. Then who is to be held accountable for this? A Mathan girl called Urmi. Let us express our gratitude to Urmi. A Mathan girl called Urmi stood up and enthusiastically replied, Oh Lord, anything that comes into existence is because of two things. Fluid of space, which creates the object, and threads of time, which hold the print of this object. In this case, Lord Indra has done his job by creating the apple before Urva's eyes, but the print of this object is not reaching Urva. Therefore, the threads of time are not working here. Hence, the god of time, Kaladeva, is responsible for this defiance of destiny. Setu's note. The example of a movie theater can help you understand this better. The projector is Indra as he projects fluid of space to create objects. The movie screen is the threads of time managed by Kaladeva. If there is no screen, then the projector would not be able to show you the movie, correct? This world is a movie which can only be seen and heard, but which can not only be seen and heard, but also be touched and smelled and interacted with and so on. This is the Mahamaya. This is the Maya that we are all going through. Everything is still in this universe. We are actually seeing nothing but a movie. But the only difference in this movie of our lives is that we are able to interact with it, touch it, see it, smell it, experience it. Just like our dreams, right? When we dream, it is very real for us. When we get up, we feel, oh, it is a dream. But when we are dreaming, our soul is experiencing it in Swapnaloka. right? But so that is why they say, which is a dream? Is this world a dream, or is that dream a dream? Lord Hanuman said, "O Mathams, Urmi has explained it very well. From childhood itself, human beings keep accumulating a knowledge which is called illusionary knowledge. With this knowledge, you are able to identify everything around you and say that this is an apple, this is an orange, this is air, this is space, this is object, this is black, this is white, and so on. This knowledge doesn't help you rise towards God." So that's why they say that enlightenment is dropping all the knowledge. It is sheer perception. You know what is sheer perception? I can see anything in this world and it will not hit my mind. I am not reacting to it. I can see something bad happening and it is not registering. I can see something very good happening and it is not registering. For me, everything is the same. If you do you guys know about Aghori sadhus? Aghoris. So Aghori sadhus, they do some of the most deplorable things, right? They eat human brain, they eat shit, they they are whatever. Why are they doing all this? People are not able to follow this path. This is an extreme path because for them they say Kan mein Shiv hai. So they are able to see the divinity in everything around them. So they don't differentiate between something which is a pleasurable experience and something which is a heinous experience. So they are able to, they are on this path to break that illusion of good and bad, the duality. If you can make the illusionary knowledge vanish from your mind, the illusionary world around you will disappear. Queen Kaushalya was skilled enough to do that. For example, in an afternoon of a certain day, Queen Kaushalya's destiny was to enjoy the beauty of a rose garden. Lord Indra did his job and Queen came to the garden where there were roses of many varieties. But the Queen did not see a single rose. From her mind, she had dropped the illusionary knowledge which would have helped her identify roses from other objects. She could drop this illusionary knowledge anytime and everything around her would disappear. Then Kaladeva appeared before her and he pleaded, "O Queen, your destiny right now is to see the roses around you. Lord Indra has successfully created the rose garden by his fluid of space. But I am not able to make that impression of that on the screen of the threads of time. This is happening because you have dropped your illusionary knowledge. I have failed in performing my duty. Please allow me to compensate you for this." O Mathams, if Queen Kaushalya wanted, she could have challenged the authority of Kaladeva and Lord Shiva would take notice that his manager Kaladeva is not able to do his duty. Kaladeva manages the threads of time which are owned by Lord Shiva. Then he would have to appoint a new Kaladeva. But Queen Kaushalya never tried to dethrone Kaladeva. She would always settle for compensation offered by Kaladeva. And she would say, "O Kaladeva, when someone commits a sin knowingly or unknowingly, you record it in the form of impression on your threads of time. Then the sinner gets punished in future. In my kingdom, no one commits sins knowingly. I want you to erase the records of all the sins unknowingly committed by my citizens. That is what I want in compensation." So Queen Kaushalya always used her skills for the welfare of her people. She was so powerful that Kaladeva would kneel before her and plead, but she never misused her powers. This is the reason Lord Vishnu chose her as the mother to descend in Manav Loka. See, that is the challenge that Lord Mahavishnu is facing right now. Who is that Mahadevi who is capable to hold him in her womb for 9 months? So Queen Kaushalya, so Queen Kaushalya always used to use it. And O Mathams, for Lord Rama to take birth, Lord Indra had to manifest fully in the father, which is King Dashratha, and Lord Kala had to manifest fully in the mother, which is Queen Kaushalya. When Shukracharya got to know that Lord Vishnu is planning to descend in Manav Loka, he started his evil attempts to stop Lord Ram's birth. There was only one way to do that. He could distract either Indra or Kala so that they failed to manifest fully through the father and mother respectively. Shukracharya's Asuras had full control over the citizens of Lanka, but that was very far from the place where Lord Rama was planning to take birth. There was not even a single person in the kingdom of Kaushala who would be vulnerable to Asuras. Today everybody is vulnerable to Asuras, right? But Shukracharya found a person in the nearby kingdom of Anga who was not only vulnerable to Asuras but also powerful enough to challenge Indra. That person was a renowned sage called Vibhandaka. Vibhandaka was a noble man, but he had a weakness. He could never see someone suffering. Shukracharya exploited this weakness of Vibhandaka and infected his mind with an asura. Shukracharya, so you will see that in your life. Have you ever come across people who feel very self-righteous? I have had some experiences with people like this. They'll be so self-righteous. You know the meaning of self-righteousness, right? Yeah. Which means that they want to do something for which they want to feel great about themselves. Which means that I cannot see a dog suffering. It is not because the dog is suffering, but I cannot see the dog suffering. So if you are truly, you want to help the dog, you will be compassionate in which you don't exist, only that suffering exists and you can't go and help the dog. But when you go and help a dog, you are internally feeling good about yourself when you help the dog. This arises a feeling called self-righteousness. And then we fall victim to self-righteousness. Why? Because the suras will come, hijack your body, start feeling good. When they leave, the asuras will come and you will be vulnerable to it. So Shukracharya took the form of an old weak man and went to the ashram of Vibhandaka. He said, "Oh noble sage, give me something to eat. I have no children and I am myself unable to earn my food. My wife has not eaten anything in the last 2 days." Now what would you have done? You would have said, any normal person would have said, "Please come, take the food," and taken his blessings. Correct? But Vibhandaka became very angry, not at the old man, but at Indra. He gave everything he had in his ashram to that old man. Vibhandaka was skilled in the method of defying destiny to make Indradeva kneel before him. When the old man left, Vibhandaka started defying his destiny and forced Indra to appear before him for giving compensation. Vibhandaka refused to take any compensation from Indra. He said, "Oh Indra, you have become arrogant. People are dying of hunger and you are enjoying the abundance bestowed by you on Lord Vishnu. I will not accept any compensation. I am going to continue defying my destiny until you are dethroned." Lord Indra humbly replied, "O the learned one, I distribute the fluid of space equally to everyone and very fairly as per their karma. If somebody is hungry, it must be because his karmas do not allow me to provide him food. You are justifying hunger and scarcity with your silly knowledge of karma." Vibhandaka was very angry at him. "Disappear from my ashram, you arrogant one. You don't deserve to be Indra. You don't deserve to be the manager of Lord Vishnu's fluid of space." Vibhandaka's mind had been infected with asuras. There was no point of reasoning with him. Lord Indra disappeared from there. Vibhandaka started defying his destiny aggressively. Lord Indra continued to keep offering him compensation many times, but he refused. Lord Indra could ignore it for some more time, but at a time when Lord Vishnu was planning to descend to Manavloka and Indra's full manifestation could be called at any time, Lord Indra could not afford the distraction caused by Vibandaka. O Mathams, when somebody challenges the authority of Indra, he sends his Apsaras to pacify the rebel. Apsaras are abundance personified. When they appear before someone, he ceases to be a rebel. He would accept anything offered to him. Even if they offered death, he would happily accept it. When Vibandaka's rebellious energies got pacified by Urvashi, Lord Indra pleaded before him, O the learned one, please accept compensation from me for whatever you have refused so far during your attempts to defy destiny. Vibandaka accepted defeat from Indra, but the Asura who had infected his mind was still there. Under the influence of that Asura, he asked, O Indra, I want to father a child. You manifest through my body and let Kaladeva manifest through Urvashi's body and beget me a child. That is all I want as compensation. O Mathans, do you know why Vibandaka got defeated? It was because of the illusionary knowledge, which is, this is ugly, this is beautiful, this is abundant, this is scarce, this is an ordinary woman and this is an Apsara. All these identifications lead us into illusion. Had there been no illusionary knowledge, sage Vibandaka would have seen the Apsara as any ordinary woman. This illusionary knowledge starts building up in our minds from childhood itself. Sage Vibandaka decided that he would father a child and raise him free from the illusionary knowledge and enable him to defeat Indra. Sage Vibandaka named his child Shukracharya. He isolated him from outside society and gave him minimum illusionary knowledge and maximum supreme knowledge. When child Shukracharya would point to a flower, a fruit, a person, an animal or anything and ask, what is this? His father Vibandaka would reply, this is just a variation of the fluid of space. For Shukracharya, everything was a variation of fluid of space. He knew nothing about colors, smells, shapes or anything for that matter. Once child Shukracharya spotted similarity between a blue flower and the blue sky and said, there is something similar between these two. His father did not tell him that the similarity was because of the thing called a color. Instead, he replied, O Shukracharya, similarity itself is just a variation of fluid of space. Lord Indra started to fear now. He knew that Shukracharya grows up and would start threatening his rule and Apsaras would be ineffective. He ran to Lord Vishnu and said, Prabhu, if you want to take birth in Manav Loka, now is the best time. Because once this child grows up, he would start threatening me and I won't be able to give my full manifestation required for your birth.
Silence.
Thank you. So what he's saying now, Indra is saying, now is the right time to take birth. Right? Why? He says, because once this child grows up, he would start threatening me and I won't be able to give my full manifestation required for your birth. So if you take birth now, by the time the child grows up, you will also grow up in your Ram avatar. Then you can deal with him. Kaladeva was also fearing this child because absence of illusionary knowledge could enable him to enslave Kaladeva also. So he also pleaded to Lord Vishnu to take birth immediately. Lord Vishnu knew that by taking birth immediately would mean walking right into the trap of Shukracharya. Lord Vishnu was taking Ramavatara to mitigate the united forces of Asuras which were centered in the kingdom of Lanka. Whereas Shukracharya was trying to pitch a sage Vibandaka of Anga kingdom against Lord Ram. Having a sage on the evil side during the lifetime of Lord Ram would have been a defeat of good in itself. Lord Vishnu replied to Indra, O Devraj, to free sage Vibhandaka and his son Rishyashringa from an Asura, I am not needed. A noble soul from Vishnu Loka would be enough to handle this task. I am needed only to fight the evil which is centered in the kingdom of Lanka. O Mathams, there are many noble souls in Vishnu Loka who choose to serve Lord Vishnu instead of getting moksha. There was a very noble soul called Shanta.
She was Rama's sister.
Yes. Lord Vishnu sent that soul specially for the purpose of amending sage Vibhandaka and his son. Shanta descended in Manavloka as the daughter of King Dasharatha and Queen Kaushalya. At one hand, Vibhandaka's son was growing in an isolated ashrama, and on the other hand, King Dasharatha's daughter was growing in the palace of Ayodhya. Do you see this? So amazing, right? When Vibhandaka's son was growing to be a problem for the world, Shanta was growing to become the solution of that problem. When Vibhandaka's son Rishyashringa grew up, he started defying his destiny so as to challenge Indra's rule. Indra appeared before him many times and pleaded him to accept a compensation, but he refused. Indra even sent his apsaras to pacify him, but it did not work because for him an apsara was just another variation of fluid of space, just like anything else. I would like to tell you now about, have you ever heard Bhaja Govinda?
Yeah.
If you really understand the meaning of Bhaja Govinda, what is Shukracharya telling us? Na Kuru, there is a...
Which line?
No, there is a line which says, do not feel pride about your wealth, about your power, about your beauty. Harati Nimesha Kala Sarvam. See, the learned people, he had to be an avatara, Shukracharya. Even they know that there is everything is nothing but a variation of fluid of space. To them, there is no beauty, there is nothing which is unpleasant. Everything is nothing but the variation of fluid of space. So, Lord Indra was in deep fear. His authority was threatened and his usual methods of pacifying the rebel was not working. He went to Rampada, the king of Anga, and said, "O king, there is a young sage living in your kingdom. His name is Rishyashringa. He is obstructing me from performing my duties. You have to banish him out of your kingdom, otherwise your kingdom will suffer because of his evil deeds. It is better to throw one citizen out of the kingdom than putting all the citizens in danger. I am warning you. There will be scarcity of everything in your kingdom if he doesn't let me perform my duties." King Rampada was in a dilemma. He replied, "O Indradeva, if I banish a sage out of my kingdom, it will be an unpardonable sin. Right? My entire kingdom will suffer if I commit this sin. I cannot throw him out, so please find some other way to pacify him." Indra had no way left to pacify him. So Rishyashringa weakened Indra like never before. Other citizens of Anga also started suffering. People started facing acute shortage of food and water. They prayed to Lord Indra. How could prayers help when Lord Indra himself was facing an existential crisis? You see, this is happening right now. I was just reading before coming here that a gigantic iceberg has split from Greenland and it is now being seen in Newfoundland in Canada. And what does this mean? I mean, it means that global warming, it's no longer global warming, it is global boiling that is going to happen very soon. So what it means is that Indra right now is going to face an existential crisis. Yeah, that is why all this knowledge is coming to us now, so that we can understand the reason what happened then and what is happening now.
2 weeks back there was this flood in things.
Flash flood in Uttarakhand.
In
Lot of
Philippines as well. Actually, I have a colleague in Philippines. She was telling that they were never expecting this. Never happened.
Yeah.
In fact, these kind of floods and things.
Yeah.
But then she was saying it is happening in the city and they don't know the reason yet. I was
Yeah.
actually thinking about that article you sent in.
Yes.
the
So all of this is happening. Why? Because Lord Indra is facing an existential crisis as we speak right now. It was the same thing that happened before Lord Ram Avatara took place in Manav Loka, which means that all of this are indicators that Lord Kalki is due for taking birth or has already taken birth. Right? At this point, Lord Vishnu suggested the solution to sage Vishwamitra. The sage went to King Rampada and told him, "O king, your wife's sister Kaushalya, who is the queen of Koshala, has a daughter. She is the solution of all your problems." Kumar Bhatre, let us express our gratitude to them also. Thank you for helping us. King Rampada followed the advice of sage Vishwamitra and adopted Shanta. When Shanta came to know about the young sage Rishyashringa, she immediately realized the purpose of her birth. She went to the ashram of the sage. O Matangs, while sage Vibandaka and Rishyashringa were infected by one asura, Shanta had a force of 1,000 asuras with her. 1,000 suras. When she reached the ashrama, the asura fled away from there. When sage Vibandaka and Rishyashringa got freed from the asura, they realized their mistake. They apologized to Lord Indra. When Rishyashringa was asked as to what compensation he would like to have, "O Indradeva, let there be abundance in the kingdom of Anga. Let no one suffer from any kind of scarcity." Shanta not only freed Rishyashringa from asura, but also decided to marry him so that Shukracharya could never even attempt to come close to him. By doing this, Shanta successfully fulfilled her destiny. Now Indradeva and Kaladeva had no problems. Now they were fully available for the birth of Lord Ram. Lord Hanuman concluded, "Now that the soul of Yajman Kshanak was purified by the wisdom showered on him by Lord Hanuman, Baba Matham started the proceedings of Arpanam for him." In view of the frequent requests from the devotees to obtain the chapters online, we are going to, this is the conclusion.